welcome to Author Nation. Today we're diving into kindness and how kindness can help you navigate your author career. I'm your host, Melody Ann, and I'm here to guide you towards actionable insights and strategies that will help you succeed as an author. Toward that, you can visit authornation.online to access a treasure trove of resources created just for you, nonfiction authors. So whether you're sipping on your morning coffee or winding down after a long day, settle in and let me introduce our guest. Michael Neece is a visionary leader, author, and entrepreneur who believes that kindness is the key to building a future we all want to live in. His wide-ranging experience includes leadership and educational roles in traditional corporate settings, as well as planetariums, where he has delivered more than 750 sessions about the wonders of the universe and the curiosity invoked by space exploration. Michael has developed a unique approach to helping teams thrive by talking about kindness through a cosmic lens. Michael is the author of In Kind, Consciously Craft a Meaningful Life and Career, and the host of the podcast, Our Future is Kind, where he interviews executives, futurists, politicians, artists, writers, and community leaders to help his audience ponder. What should the future be like? Who will be there? How can we craft it carefully into what we want and deserve? Let's welcome Michael. Hello, Michael. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Melody. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm thrilled to hear. I actually, kindness is, I believe, something that is incredibly important in our world. And in fact, I have this little strategy, maybe you want to talk about it. I have this little strategy that if something upsets me and I'm a bit grumpy, I go out of my way to be kind to people. So if somebody upsets me, I'll open the door for the next 10 people, or, and it's a really great way to shift yourself back into that non-grumpy state, that, the more content state. So that's my little kindness tip of the day. Yeah. What inspired you to write In Kind, and how did your experiences shape the book's message? I just want to dive into the book.
Sure. Yeah. I wrote In Kind because I've been in so many different roles and so many different careers. And what I found was I enjoyed doing honorable work, but I was also just mesmerized by people. That's where the fun is. That's where the magic is. And there were so many times when I found that people were very kind, where they were very unkind, and those were the most memorable times, right? You have all of those long stretches in between, a project or, some tasks that you're doing. But it's when people really, they bend over backwards to try to help you, just like your kindness strategy of, oh gosh, I need to snap out of this. I'm going to hold the door open for the, several people. Having those moments where somebody really reached out to you and lifted you up, that's what was the big motivation for the book, because I kept thinking, gosh, don't we all need more kindness? And shouldn't we find ways of bringing it into everything that we do? And there's so many just tips, tricks, and strategies, so many ways of being reflective that I wanted to include in the book as ways to give a gift to the world, so that people could say, oh, I have an idea of what to do now. I'm not stuck anymore, and I'm not, dreading work tomorrow, because I have ideas of what to do. So that's a big inspiration.
Yeah, it's interesting. You said the things I remember are the people who were kind and the people who were unkind. Mm-hmm. So you remember the extremes, right?
Yes,
on either end. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about ego.
Yes.
And ego management. Because you talk a lot about it in the book. And my question is this: how do you see ego commonly manifesting? And when it does manifest, what are some strategies that we might be able to use to help ourselves with that?
It's such a good question. Yeah, it's something that I think haunts all of us, that we all think of ourselves as thinking beings. We are feeling beings. And that's just the truth of it. Even the people who say, oh, feelings, they don't matter, your feelings are bogus, they usually say it with an awful lot of heft and a lot of anger. So when I think about ego, it's usually manifesting itself in terms of an overblown sense of self. That's how I think of it, at least. And that's where I shouldn't have to stand in this line. Why is this person cutting me off and going faster on the highway? Why didn't my boss give me that really great promotion? They gave it to this other person who doesn't work as hard. It's that sense that I shouldn't have to put up with this. But there's the flip side of the ego, which is where you think everybody's watching your every move. They're ready to mock you and make fun of you because you're making bad choices and whatever, the things that you look in the mirror and you don't like about yourself. Those are the things you're afraid other people are going to notice. And so ego can come out in those forms where you're telling yourself, oh, I'm awesome, or oh, I'm terrible. Usually it's somewhere in between. So the best way to handle it when your own ego is out of check is to really think, am I approaching this situation in a way that's kind of even with the situation? If somebody cuts you off in traffic, are you thinking about chasing them and following them to their home and writing down their license number? Or are you just a little bit miffed? Are you just a little bit upset? So check, is my emotional reaction outsized? I guess that's a big way of thinking about it. And the other side is true too. You find out a colleague got a big promotion and you didn't. Oh, is it really the end of the world? Things haven't really changed that much between yesterday and today when you found out. Is it really that big a difference? When somebody else's ego is out of check, that's when you can employ some other strategies, which is you can pull them out of their little world and into the world of reality by just saying, hey, how are you doing? What's going on in your world? If they're really, really upset, you can say, hey, let's pause this meeting. Let's do this right now. Let's come back when we're all fresh. It's great that we're all so passionate about this. Right. So it's intervening with yourself or intervening with the other person and just trying to remind them, hey, it's not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's probably somewhere in between.
Yeah. And since I'm a words person, I want to point out that one of the things that usually I hear people say that doesn't work is, what's wrong with you?
Yes, that is good advice. Don't ask that.
Yeah, don't ask that. I liked you didn't ask that. You asked, like, what's going on in your world today?
Right.
It's a neutral question.
Right.
Right?
Being authentically curious about the other person is helpful.
Exactly. Sometimes I think that when ego comes up, people are kind of acting as though they're important because they have a lot of beliefs about themselves that include not being important. Do you think that's true?
I think it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, depending on what soup you were swimming around in as you were being raised, you could believe all kinds of things. Again, I bring us back to the idea that we're all emotional creatures who occasionally have a good thought. When you're being raised, it's hard to tell what's emotional truth and what's actual truth.
Yes.
I could have an emotional truth that we never have enough money and we should be panicked about money all the time because I used to hear my parents argue about money. When in fact, they may have been fabulously wealthy, but they were talking about the minutia of something. And so for me, I'm panicked about money all the time, right? So many other, limiting beliefs like that, beliefs that are based in emotion rather than in actuality. So many other things. I think you said one of them, which is I'm not enough or I don't matter, something along those lines. And I think a lot of us fall into that one where, somebody doesn't applaud loudly enough for you at your violin recital when you're 10, or somebody laughs, but at the wrong time when you're telling a joke, right? It's those moments where you start to build up a narrative of, oh, wow, I'm lacking. I'm not doing a great job.
Yeah.
Fighting limiting beliefs is a big deal.
And that's where ego pops up, right? So limiting beliefs and ego are somewhat connected, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's an astute observation, because if you're being guided by those emotions, and they're not really based in reality, yeah, you could have that overblown reaction. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So what do we do about our limiting beliefs?
I think step number one is to try to identify them. There are so many good surveys that are out there on the internet. I included one that's in my book that just gives you statements, and you have to read the statement and try to think, does this resonate with me? Am I having a really big reaction when I read this right now? I need to be thin. I need to be taller. I don't belong. Right. If you're reading through these and you identify 4 or 5 or 6 that you're like, wow, those are my big ones. That's step one. And step two then is to dissect it and say, where did this come from? And then you know that it's something that you sometimes bring with you to the grocery store or to a meeting or to, some time with your loved ones. And so now, oh, okay, so I bring this idea of I don't belong, and now I'm going out on movie night with my wife. Oh, let me think about that. Let me make sure that that's not just bubbling up, and then I'm mad at her for no good reason because I just happen to bring this with me everywhere. So
Yeah.
identify them. Next, you then say, where did they come from? And then third, you try to think about them consciously when you're in a situation.
Yeah, I love that. And so let's now add kindness to the soup, to the mix.
Yeah.
So the principle of kindness, you've talked about how it can help act as a compass, right, for navigating these types of challenges. So how does that work?
I had somebody ask me the question once, are we hardwired to climb all over each other to get to what we want? Or are we hardwired to hold the door open for others to get to what they want? And I think the truth is, it depends on which one you nourish and nurture.
Hmm.
If you try to build that habit of kindness and really think consciously about how would I handle this situation and how would I handle it if my boss says this to me, how do I reach out to other people to tell them how important they are to me, to remind them and uplift them of with those great words. I think if you've cultivated that kindness, now it acts like a compass, right? You have this great practice, you have this great methodology, and now it guides you in the direction of doing the right things at the right time for you, for other people. So in that way, it is a compass.
Yeah. And you talked about what's innate to humans, way back a long time ago. If we look at that question through the lens of anthropology, uh, lone humans didn't survive.
Right.
And so we're social animals. And so in order to survive, we need each other. And in order to get along, we need to be kind. So the ego and the anger and all of that other stuff, my personal opinion is that is a reflection of something wrong, right? So not like there's something wrong with you. I mean, like something's happening that we need to fix.
Right.
Because the truth is, we are social animals, and lone humans don't survive emotionally, spiritually, physically. We just don't survive. And so that, I just wanted to kind of add that to the mix.
I completely agree, and I just have to put the exclamation point on it. People are fascinating and wonderful, and why would we cut ourselves off from all these amazing other entities that are available to us? So the kinder you are, the more you cultivate them into that clutch that's going to be with you.
Yes. So let's take all of this that we've talked about and let's apply it to author. So you're an author. How do you see kindness coming into the life of the author to help authors create the success that they want?
I think an awful lot of it is knowing who you are.
Mm.
If you are kind enough to yourself, you try to reflect and learn who you are, and you try to be honest about it. There are times when you have unkind thoughts, and it's honest to be able to bring that up and think about, what do I actually think about this person who comes to my, my dinner parties and kind of annoys me What do I think about them? How do I handle them? Being real about that makes it possible for you then to write your truth. I think until you don't know yourself well enough, or you're not willing to admit some of those harder things and scarier things and shame-filled things, and until you're ready to write that stuff, or until you're ready to investigate that stuff, you're not ready to write that stuff.
Yeah. So that's the first step.
Yeah. The first step is,
Self-exploration.
it's knowing yourself. And
Yeah.
then the next step is being able to reflect and do journal entries, write. I don't know if you know the Artist's Way. It's a great
Yes, absolutely.
You write those 3 pages every morning to just
Yep.
get your going. I think that's another big step.
Yeah, and about dumping out, just like dumping everything out, right? You get to put the negative down on paper and move it away. Positive too, but yes, absolutely. Okay, so the idea of self-exploration, and what I love about that answer is that's a lot of what writers do. Even when they're writing fiction, I work with nonfiction authors, but even when writing fiction, a lot of authors are exploring their ideas, their opinions, their philosophy toward life. And so I love that. So, explore self was step one, right? Explore self. And then once you understand yourself, reflect on who that is. Now, let's talk about, so I know who I am. I've been reflecting on that, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get 50 rejections from publishers, or have setbacks, or get a bad review online somewhere. So how can we then kind of use all of this to help us through these things that often happen to authors?
Right. So part of my kindness compass is to remind myself never to read the comments, right?
Yes.
If somebody is commenting on my Amazon book or something that I wrote online, or another product that I have provided to the world, they may hate it. They may love it. I'm not really sure that matters either way. What I'm hopeful is that I've spoken my truth, and that truth matters to some subset of the population. And if it matters to them, now I've really found my people. I've found my target audience. And so part of all of this kindness is kindness to yourself, to remember, if I wouldn't have asked them for their advice, then why would I trust them with critique? So that's a piece of it.
Yes. I've also I've given the advice to authors when it comes to comments and reviews: is don't read your own, get someone else to read them, and have them summarize all the good and all the things people love about it. And then if you do get the same comment over and over and over again, like the book's repetitive or something, your friend can give you this information, but in a they can frame it in a way that doesn't, that you get the information, but it's not devastating. So that's a suggestion I have made to people in the past, is let other people help you.
I think that's a great suggestion. I think the other thing is, if you don't have a friend available, then one of the AIs that are out there, you can cut and paste it all in there, and you can say, here's what I want to know. What are the common good themes? What are the things that are suggestions for improvement? And then just read the summaries. Just read what AI told you, because it's not going to lie to you, but it will also try to frame it the way you ask it to frame it.
Yes, exactly. Great advice. So as we wrap up, my audience, they always appreciate some takeaways, things that they can do now, apply in their own lives, in their own author career, to create momentum around, applying kindness in their lives and in their author careers to create even more success. Could you give us just like a couple of suggestions?
Sure, absolutely. Number one is self-care. If at the end of your very hard work week, you haven't made a ton of meals and paid the bills and driven places and gone to the dentist, oh my gosh, when is the time for you to just be silent and quiet with yourself and careful with yourself? When is the time for you to meditate or get in a hot tub or do something that's really glorious for you? So I think self-care can never be understated. Do that. I think another big thing to do is to be reflective, take time to journal. I think that that is a great way of being kind to yourself. And then one of the last things to remember is that uh, uh, bad words on a page are better than no words on a page.
Yes.
So if you are writing stuff, it can be imperfect and even terrible. As
Yes.
long as you're getting it out there, the magic happens in the editing. The magic happens when you reflect on it and think about it and come back the next day or 2 days later, or have somebody else look at it. So yeah, just give yourself a break and just write and write and write.
Yes, I agree. If diamond miners went into a mine and only saw coal and they were refused to dig through the coal, we wouldn't have diamonds.
I
And
love
that's
that.
and that's what writing is about, right? We shovel a lot of coal, which is useful. Coal's useful. It's
Yes.
useful, but we're looking for the diamonds. But you got to shovel a lot of coal to get to the diamonds. So that's how I think about writing. Yes, beautiful. Michael, if people want to learn about you, they can go to ourfutureiskind.com. Is that right?
The best place to go. Yeah, I'm there all the time.
Excellent, beautiful. Any final words as we wrap up?
I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I love the Carl Sagan quote about books being a window into the mind of other humans that you may never have met, possibly from thousands of years ago. I love that idea. So the fact that you are highlighting different authors' works so that we kind of get the nitty gritty. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for what you do.
You're absolutely welcome. I absolutely love my job. Love what I do too. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today at Author Nation. I hope this conversation has inspired you and given you some insights into bringing more kindness into your world, more kindness into your author journey, and especially more kindness to yourself. So remember to visit authornation.online to unlock a wealth of resources designed to support your growth. And of course, we always appreciate your feedback and your support. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a comment or review, and don't forget to share it with a fellow author who will benefit from this episode, because your participation helps us continue delivering the insights and the tools you need to succeed. So keep writing, keep creating, and keep sharing your unique stories with the world.